that out there because I don't want anybody screaming at me. She's just saying that, but no, that's not true. Men are abused, but they just because of the statistics and the status of being an abused man, they don't come out. But we are seeing more and more uh, of men who are reporting abuse, and they should. They should. And they should be treated equally as well because they are victims. So just putting that out there. But you want to do those. You want to do those things. That's some of the because your safety, the safety of your children is most important because as an advocate, we know that that is a very vital time. Fatality rates, you hear about it all the time. Um, Homicides, double homicides happening, and it's a very real thing.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for that, Bridget. And one of the things before Angela, before you ask your question, is one of the things that I've been seeing, especially now with social media, you will start to, and you probably have started to see this as well, where domestic violence is also is made to almost be minimized, where it's not a big deal. You can see some of these clips on social media. Some of them are high profile cases, and I'm not going to say cases, but high profile personalities where they are actually recording their domestic abuse, and there are still companies and sponsorships are not denouncing it because they're making money off of it. I mean, like they are just putting all their stuff right there, and people are just engaged in it like it's just content. No, this person and they're both being abused, like they're violent toward each other. And so that's one case. But we're seeing like it's just more and more like the young people are now recognizing this is domestic violence. This is just not content that is being put on the page. But at the same time, they're making money from it. They're getting subscriptions on these different platforms. But you are stuck in this cycle of domestic violence, and more they're not seeing it as domestic violence. And then the other thing I want to ask, mention to you, and you can kind of describe it, is many times, because I remember sending someone to a couple women. I remember sending a couple women to a domestic violence, not shelter, but to one of those. Well, it was a shelter.
A program or something. Yeah.
Program.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember sending some women recommending that. I had a connection, and because their thought was, he's not hitting me, so that wasn't the right place for me, because they sat there, they listened to the information, and apparently at that time it was probably more focused on the physical abuse. So they didn't think that being in a verbal or psychological abuse, they were not like these women. Like, that's not me. I'm not going through that. He's not hitting me. And if so if you can just kind of give a glimpse of what that would look like, if it's not being physical, then how does emotional, psychological abuse, what would that look like? What would the verbal abuse look like? Because sometimes people feel like, well, he's not putting his hands on me. And I thought that for many years as well. I was stuck in a cycle because he didn't put his hands on me. He didn't curse me out, but it came in all other ways. It was more psychological.
Correct. So to answer the first part of your question, how better to desensitize people than to go on, say, social media and say, and put out all of these advertisements to make it appear like it's normal. And that's the start of desensitizing people to what the real effects are. But being an advocate and actually working on the front lines of it, we know better. And so that's for advocates to start speaking up. And the other part is education. But to answer your second question, so it's like organizations such as what I'm putting out, I encourage everyone to understand what the power and control aspect of domestic violence is. There's a wheel you can go on Google, find the power and control wheel, and understand the different aspects of what domestic violence is about. So it's about educating yourself, and it's about advocates getting out there, because everyone knows someone. You may not be experiencing it, or you may be misguided on what it is what
Yes.
it is itself. And so educate yourself about it. If you see something, report it.
Mm-hmm.
That person may be that's experiencing that behind closed doors, and it's also called intimate partner violence, or uh, IPV. Um, may be experiencing it, but it's afraid to call the police. I see a lot of survivors in my work as being on the other side and prosecuting abusers that wants to drop the charges and want to drop the
Yeah.
charges because they don't understand. At some point, you have to have accountability to your actions. If
Yes.
you keep allowing someone just to go freely, and we have some cases that are open, you have 3 and 4 different people or the same person committing these issues. So at some point you got to stop and say, hey, enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
And hold that person accountable. And one of the ways to hold them accountable is to reach out to law enforcement and to follow through with that um, prosecuting, and to say, hey, you can't do this. You can't do this. Or if you know somebody, call the police for them. And they
Yes.
maybe get mad with you, but you may have saved a life right
Amen.
there. You know,
Amen.
I,
Absolutely.
I'll accept being anything you want to call me, but I've saved your life because I know what's going on. And a lot of people are like, oh, that's not my business, but it is your business.
Mm-hmm.
Domestic violence is a crime. It is a
Yes.
crime. And if it's part of those crimes that, depletes your property value, we don't want to look at it that way, but it is a crime, and if that crime is in our community, then we're affected by it, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. So we need to start standing up and standing out and be that support issue and stop asking or blaming the victim a lot of times. Well, why didn't you just leave? Start asking the abuser, why are you abusing? Why did you think you
Yes.
had taken this particular avenue in order to get a point across? Can't we talk about it? Do I physically have to put my hands on you, or do you physically have to put your hands on me to get me to understand or listen? No, you don't. And if you have to have that type of relationship, you need to evaluate and reflect, is this the right type of relationship for me?
Yes. That is good right there.
You
That
know,
is
and
uh
so that is little tidbits or nuggets that to help you to realize that. And so the forms of abuse is just not physical, because when you hear domestic violence, the first thing you think is somebody is slapping, beating, but you have your verbal, where you calling the person out of their names,
mhm.
derogatory names, and it's always, those things are meant to erase and to nullify who that person is as a person. So if I can start getting them to doubt who they are by using this verbal, by beating them down constantly, 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 then eventually I can write my own scenario
Yeah.
on the canvas, and they will have to do what I have to do. So it's all manipulation, it's all tactics and strategies that abusers use, and it's a part of what I do is educate. So taking that victim who doesn't understand and walking them through the education cycle of what goes on of abusive, and getting them to relate to it, then they come out with a better knowledge. And so when you know better, hopefully, like Maya said, you do better,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know.
Absolutely. Now, that is good stuff. That is good stuff. Angela?
Yes.
Hold on. I think she froze on us again. All right. Well, again, it's just as she was getting ready to speak, as we get ready to close out this segment, Miss Bridget, can you let us know? Can you let us all know where we could find you and your information? And again, if you could leave an encouraging word, give us about 2 minutes, and give
Okay.
us an encouraging word for anyone who feel like they're in this position, they know someone in this position, and also where can they find you so as they move forward.
Okay. The best way right now to reach out to me is through email, and my email is lv@livingvalidated.com.
There was so much said, and I don't remember freezing.
Hold on, Angela. Hold on. 1 second. Oh, you go ahead, Bridget.
Okay, so yeah, the best until my website get up and running, and we should have that running by next week. It's lv@livingvalidated.com. Shoot me an email. If you have a testimony, if you want to have a consultation, because I do the life coaching, and I do specialize in trauma that has occurred in abusive relationship, and helping to walk that individual from being a victim to surviving to thriving, and that's my passion. It really is. And so to live on purpose for a purpose, because each one of us have a purpose. And so these life obstacles that gets in our way, sometimes we don't know how to get around them, how to get over them, but to overcome them. But so I can walk you through those situations because through my experience, personal experience, and tactics and strategies that I have used myself, and I've used in empowerment groups that I have facilitated, that it works. It works. And so just reach out to me. Right now, like I said, Living Validated. It's lv@livingvalidated.com. It's the best to reach me, and give me 24 hours and I'll, reach back out to you.
Absolutely. Well, what I'm going to do, I do have your email address. When I go back in, I'm going to post that on, attach it to this particular video so that they can be able to reach out to you. And again, you know that you and I will work together some more,
Yes.
because I want to be able to break down. We kind of did a broad sweep of this.
Right.
You
Yeah.
have so much information. Every time we talk, it is a lot of information. And so I want to be able to break down a lot of this stuff that you have to help people. And so please stay tuned. We will have Miss Bridget back. We still have also we will go back to our dating series. That right there, I am still like loving on that information.
Yes.
So stay tuned, everybody. We will have Miss Bridget back. Thank you so much for tuning in
You're
with
welcome.
us today.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And just know that you're enough. You are enough, and you don't have to be in the abusive relationship. Life is so much beautiful on the other side. So you have to do the work, though. There's no free pass. You got to do the work.
Absolutely. That part, you got to do the work.
Got to do the work. Yes.
You got to do the work. So thank you again for being with us today. I'm going to let you go because we got another panel that's coming on.